Everybody, welcome back to another episode of FSI DFS Fantasy NASCAR Picks. I'm your host Megro31. Hope you're having an amazing Labor Day weekend. We had two good races already. Trucks at Darlington, and then we had Xfinity at Portland last night, and Connor Zilic continues to dominate, even broken. So pretty amazing there. Look forward to seeing him in the Cup Series next year. So this is a classic crown jewel race, very exciting. First, couple housekeeping things. College football season is back in if you're excited about that. Pete Cole is doing a great job covering that at FSI. Um, Even like the weeknight slates we have, all the slates on Saturday. So you can go to the description of the video and go to our pricing page on the website and check that out. And the NASCAR package for the rest of the season, seeing there's only 10 weeks left, I've dropped to just $25. So if you want to get in for the final races, that's fine. Still continue to grind it out, even though prize pools will get cut because NFL will come back next week. And but still there's money to be made and less people usually playing. So I usually make a good deal of money towards the end of the season too, because other people have just kind of passed it off, and the true fans are still watching and still playing. And with the playoffs, it makes it exciting. Speaking of NFL, I apologize that I just with my family situation, I could not do baseball this year on a regular basis, but I will commit to doing NFL, especially at least the Sunday ones. I'll try to do the Thursday and Monday night showdown ones as much as I can. I might have some other FSI people joining me this year or doing them solo. So we should have coverage for that also. So it's a very good time to jump in for the fall. It's um, $5 for a NASCAR weekend, but it's only $6 for like all the sports on a weekend or on any day, and that's good $25 a week. So it's pretty reasonable. And soccer, Charlie continues just to um, do an amazing job on that. Premier League's back, Bundesliga, La Liga. He covers recent MLS. He covers every single slate. It's amazing. So lots of cool things there for you. So on to this one here, and you're going to see a lot of colors on the screen. So um, the ones that look like Easter egg colors and the start, these are the playoff drivers. This first round of the playoffs, which means something, but it doesn't really because you got 3 rounds. So if you have a bad round, like they're not like that far apart that you're going to completely be out. The 4 drivers don't advance. So right now, the blue ones are the ones that are above the cut line. The ones that are in yellow are below the cut line. And we're really not talking like a ton of points of separation between them because the way the playoffs work, I think it's like Barry Reddick are like -1, Dylan's -2, and Bowman's like -5, and like Logano and Chastain are only +1. So it starts out pretty tight. Although like Larson and Byron and Hamlin and Blaney are like +20. So I mean they're pretty much safe and should advance to the next round even with like catastrophe. But it just makes me wonder if like some of the people that are like in the yellow or close to the yellow are going to go out there in this race, and if they don't have a shot of winning, just be conservative, go out there, survive in advance, and then take your shots at your tracks that you're really good at, and try to get the win there to secure for the next round. But if you can't, then just don't do anything that's going to hurt you so that you can't move on, especially if other people have already had issues and you're kind of like, okay, if 4 of the playoff drivers get in a wreck, then the rest of them, if they're not trying to win, I sometimes feel that, and it's not always true, that they can go out there and just kind of be kind of conservative. Like this is a cool race to win and one of the crown jewel ones, and an accomplishment for your resume, definitely. And the win does advance you automatically to the next round. But if you've got no chance, but you're having a good day, then I don't think you really push it. I think you could just go out there and wait for the clock to run out and do a good job of that. So practice was a disaster. Nothing like really happened other than the fact that they divided them into Group A and Group B. And Group A is usually like the slower, lower totem pole guys, and Group B is usually the better drivers and your superstars and your studs in the series. And A goes out there and has like a better track, and then the conditions like sometimes like clouds come over, or sometimes it's better with no rubber, sometimes it's better with rubber on it, and So Group B is obviously at a disadvantage. So I put up the 10 lap averages for everybody because they mixed them all together, but I don't think it really tells the true story. So in looking back at it and looking at like when the people were making their long runs and into like 20, 30 lap averages if they got there, or like who like pitted or taking out like laps where they're like might be trying some stuff. I've kind of like narrowed it down to the green ones are the seven ones that I felt like had the best fall off in practice, and the red ones are ones that I feel had the worst. And if you look at it, like McDowell, like had a second, like overall in a 10 lap average. But if you look at like all the context of it, like overall, I feel like he really didn't have that great of a fall off. Justin Haley was number one, but I really feel like he was kind of neutral out there. So we'll go through that as we go here. So this race, you're going to need probably two dominators, maybe three. In looking back at the spring race, which is like different conditions, because this is a race where they start during the daylight hours and then it goes to night, which is really cool. It's a long race. It's 500 laps. Back in looking at the results of the spring race, which I believe is only 400 laps, so it's not as long. Like William Byron led 243 laps. He led all of stage one, all of stage two, and it wasn't until like some late cautions and just didn't make his really good adjustments. Denny Hamlin went and stole one. So I kind of like in making my recommendations here for plays, look back at the last two, looked at how people do it, like steep tracks with tire wear, like Homestead and things like that. Kind of maybe a little bit of Vegas, and like that's where we're kind of at here. So I think you've got some studs up top that you can really throw in the Dominator. I think it's going to be like maybe maybe a three king build where you want to try to get three guys in over 10K, or maybe even throw Elliott in there. It's got a little bit place differential mixed in at 9.5. But and I think there's some value in the back. So I gave you as my prime my favorite driver that I think could dominate and get some place differential. And then I threw in two cheaper guys that have done really well here in the last couple races, and I feel that they've got some upside to the floor that you need in your lineup to swing for the fences and get all these more expensive drivers in. So Denny Hamlin got the pole really good here. Obviously, he won, but he didn't have really the best car, so he kind of lucked in there. He only led 10 laps, but he's been good on these tracks, and I think he's got the second highest projection in my model here. So I think that's one that definitely you can consider as your dominator. Briscoe always qualifies well. He didn't really look like he had the fall off. He's 28th in Darlington, um, but he won last year in this other 500. So like there's that upside there. So I think he's perfect for GPP play, but I really don't feel he's a great championship play. Josh Berry, he got spun out in the spring race. He did pretty well last year in the fall race, and he won a steep track this season. So that's how he got himself into the playoffs. And I think he's kind of secretly good here. I think low ownership people kind of overlook him. The dark horse to um, pull this off and win. And I think that he makes the perfect one for the top GPP if you want to play him in 100K. Reddick had the second most dominant car here in spring race. Just couldn't. And he's one that like this one benefits you if you run high against that wall. That's usually the preferred group, but you gotta be careful not to get too close to it, or you get the famed Darlington stripe. Just the way the track's configured, it's very easy to rub against that wall. And is it completely detrimental? No, but there can be some stuff up there that can get you loose. And once you hit that wall, if you don't know what you're doing, it can cause you to wreck. And he loves living up there and living in that groove, and has found some speed here. And was kind of neutral in practice, but finished fourth. But I think he's definitely, I like the price tag on him. So like what I recommend doing here is like maybe make your cash line, and then if you want to experiment with some like expanded cash lines in kind of a GPP format, then find your core and then go in and like the 20 max $1. I really like do that. then mix in all these like upper drivers, like try to get like two of them in a balance lineup or three of them in a stars and scrub lineup, and then like just play all the combinations out, and that works out really well. So I mean, if you want to put, and this is a race where you probably do well DFS wise. Like NASCAR is a high variance sport, but if you want to, it's not like as bad as like Daytona or like some of the other races where there's like a chalk build that everybody's going to have. So it's your chance to really experiment. And one, there's like two easy kind of cheap ways to do this. Like go on the 20 max and put $1, build 20 lineups by hand of all these like different combinations of dominators up there. And rotate through them, and then go to the multipliers. And there is usually a $1 multiplier that is a 20 max also, and it I think the winner gets the top 100 or whatever get $20 or something like that. So if you play all of that on one lineup, you end up getting $200, which is maybe my math's off here, but anyways, like the whole point is it's a nice multiplier. But then there's another $5 multiplier, which I think you win $100 on, and I think you can play like 40 lineups in that. So what you do is just play it in the GPP, and then go and maybe there's also usually like a 20 max like $1 um uh 50/50 too. So play it in like the GPP, play it in the 50/50, and then play it in the multiplier for $1. So it's $3 per lineup. So you're going to spend $60 if you do that way. If you do the $5 one, of course, it's gonna be a little bit more. But that's the way that I really have like made a lot of money in the fall when you don't have like a lineup that's like this. Okay, this is what you got to go for. We have some variance. We have a long race with different changing conditions from day to night where different drivers can do well. Then that's what I love to do is I love to take that dollar and throw it in the three different levels there in the main GPP tournament, the 150 max, or maybe like the 20 max for like $1, and then do it in the 50/50 one or double up one, and then do it in the multiplier one where it's like a 20x multiplier. And it really can really pay off and make it because you really only need one or two lineups to hit to kind of cover your expenses and to get profit on it. So just some game theory thought from me, just like how I play. Okay, so where we on Reddick Larson. Okay, so tale of two Larsons. Larson was super dominant in the uh, Southern 500 last year, and he does better in the Southern 500 than he usually does in the spring race. The spring race, he was a disaster. He spun out twice trying to pass people, trying to be too aggressive, ended up finishing 37th. He did it early, ran into the inside wall, was fighting to try to get his lap back, and then ran into somebody else and got into the wall again. He's had tire issues because sometimes he's a little bit too abusive on them, especially at high tire wear track. He's usually good at tire wear, but sometimes they just push it too much. So I don't know where to take him, but I think we can safely call him like one of the top three dominators here because I think that he does have, even though he's had a bad summer and just like seems to be like snake bitten a little bit, he is number one in the playoff seedings right now, and he has a cushion. So he's kind of playing with house money a little bit. So if one bad race isn't going to knock him out by any means, so I think there's a lot of upside there. Chastain, uh, he's run okay here, went seventh here, but the fall off I just didn't like as much. Obviously, they're going to put a lot into him here being into the playoffs. So, they're going to take the resources from Suarez and Van Ginzenberg and just make try to make this team the best it can be, like kind of like the all-star trackhouse team to help him along. And where is he in the points? I think he's like high up there, isn't he? No, he's actually really close to the cut line. So could be a little bit more conservative here too. So kind of a GPP, but has the upside to be a dominator. Christopher Bell, the same thing. Third here. I think he finished second here in the Southern 500 last year. So obviously a lot of upside I just didn't love what I saw with the speed. He also has a pretty safe doesn't he? Thought he did. He's plus 17. So yeah, he's up there. Won some races this year and has done pretty well. So I don't think he's going to be very conservative. I think he's got a good shot. So definitely consider him in the dominator pool. Bubba, he's not a great track for him. Fall off there. So GPP for me, I just don't think he's going to be great. Um, Dylan is in the playoffs, and I just kind of worry that let's wait. Sorry, going back there. I'm looking at the wrong college. Van Gisbergen is in the playoffs. He's won so many road courses. So if I know you're probably already putting the comment in there, so scratch that about Chastain. I'm sorry, but they're not. This is not a Shane Van Gisbergen. He's going to be the classic case of surviving advance because road course races is where he's going to try to get that win. They're just going to try to do enough until he's got enough cloud. He's plus 16 um, with the road courses to be able to try to get through these early rounds and then try to like win a road course to be able to advance. But I don't know how he's going to, if he makes it to Phoenix, how he's going to do there, but we'll see. So sorry, scratch that for what I said. Um, for Chastain. There's two teams in it, but really think in this race, like I think that he'd be the priority because I think it's going to Van Gisbergen is going to have like a more conservative approach. Dylan, probably gonna get some resources from all of RCR and Bush because Kyle Bush is not in the playoffs here, but I still think he's a fade up here. Qualified really well, but doesn't really usually run great here, and I think he's going to fall back. Cindric, I think, has some upside here. Also, he always had really good fall off. The Penske cars usually have pretty good long run, especially like Blaney and him. Like Logano was okay. I wasn't in practice, so I think that you definitely can consider Cindric here. He's probably starting too far forward for people. So he's probably gonna have some low ownership here at 7,500. It's a good price, and I think he's another great one for that 100K GPP lineup. Byron, I have the prime here. Just seeing how dominant he was um, before. I think he got a wreck here in the Southern 500 last year, so he didn't finish that well. But he's had the speed. He looked good in practice. He had good fall off, and he's got some place differential baked in here. And I see him getting up there and potentially leading, and just for how dominant a car that he had here in the spring. I know the track conditions are going to be different. I still think that the dominance is going to be there. I think people are going to gravitate more up towards like the people at top, like Bell and Larson and Hamlin. And I think I would rather start my lineup like with the studs up top, like Byron Hamlin or Byron Larson. I don't know if I'm going to go three kings and try to get another one in. I think I want to go more balanced, but definitely with the prime plays I gave you, you're able to probably get probably three 10K, even like up to 11K, like Hamlin in and not want to throw up in the back of your mouth um, with the rest of the lineup that you're building today. So I think the pricing is pretty fair here. Blaney, I think, is another one. I think he's very chalky because I think people are going to look at like the place differential, see how well he's done with like long run speed and tire wear tracks, and just the horsepower Ford has had this year. I think that he's going to be one that's going to, and he's got a pretty solid cushion with plus 20 also to be able to go out there and not have to worry about being conservative to survive and advance the next round. I think that he's in a good position to go out there and try to win this race. And I was kind of mad at him at Daytona for like taking that win there. I wanted to see kind of a new driver get into the playoffs. And he was a Ford and he was going to knock out a Toyota or Chevy. So like if he did that, so it wasn't like he was like helping or hurting his manufacturer either, like or anybody on his team. So but oh well, I get it. You play to win the game, like Herm Edwards said. You don't go out there to finish second to be nice to somebody. This isn't participation trophy NASCAR. It's a the elite racers in the world coming here to run in this series to win races. So I get it. I get it. I get it. I get it. Haley, uh, fastest in practice statistically, but I think more of a GPP. He's starting too far forward here for me. Really, nothing to race for. I don't, there's no Spire cars in the playoffs, I'm pretty sure. So I don't know if they're going to do like research and development for some of the other Chevy teams. Go out there, try things for next year, and that's what you're going to start to run into. Especially when you start talking about like the MK crews have been notorious for that. And some of these teams that don't have anybody are looking towards like next year, not going out there for like wins. So I really Haley might be a fade, but with the price point, I think he's okay in a GPP. Logano, I think, is a GPP only. Would it surprise me if he goes out and win this race? Absolutely not. Like crazier things have happened, and he just seems to. And I've seen some articles about it, and he like always gets mad and like and bites back when people say it. But sometimes it just seems like Logano is like one of the luckiest and one of the system um NASCAR driver where he takes advantage of the rules and like how the playoff system is set up. Not that he's like the best driver. Like I think he's won 3 championships now, and I think they did this study. And if you went back to the old school NASCAR rules, like how championships were given out before they did like the stage points and like all the things like that, I don't think he would have any championships. Uh, I think he's a product of the scoring system, which I mean, no, I mean he's a good race car driver. He's had longevity. He's been around and everything. I just for this specific race, he usually finishes around 13th to 15th, and didn't look like he had a great fall off in practice. So this week, I'm just going to kind of put him on the bench, and if I was getting 150 lineups, I'd definitely have some shares of him, maybe like 10%, but I don't think I would play him in probably the limited amount of like 20 lineups I'm probably playing today. Busher, same thing, good racer here, sixth last year. And just we always worry about the RFK cars when they're not in the playoffs, doing like research and development for next year, looking into that. And he was kind of neutral with fall off. He's usually good on tire wear tracks, like just looking back at the one year in Homestead where he went out there and just like was so dominant and some other ones. So I think he's definitely in play here with low ownership. I toyed with giving him the 100K GPP one, but I felt like the other drivers were much better. So let's say he's in play. I like $700, savings off Logano. So if he's like last man in one of your lineups, then that's perfect. But I wouldn't make him a priority to try to get him in. Gibbs, I toyed with making a prime play, but I wanted to give you a little bit more value. I really like Gibbs upside here. I really like the speed in practice and the fall off that he's had. Um, it's a little bit different with Gibbs because I don't think he's going to be the research and development car in this race for them. Like everybody else is in the playoffs and all the 2311 cars, so he's kind of the odd one out. But there's like no pressure to go out there and try to get points for like to make the playoffs, and he almost made the playoffs, so it was really close, but I think he's got some upside here, and this is a good track for him and a good race for him. And I think if he goes out there and makes some good decisions, that he could have a solid day and finish in the top 10. So I love this price, and I think he'll be highly owned because I think other people will recognize that too. And I think Gibbs is still a little bit popular based on his Xfinity stuff. I think people it's like the fear of missing out on him that like you have this talent in a JGR and you saw like how dominant he was and how like close he comes and you don't want to be the one that stops playing him the day that he does make it happen and win the race and becomes in the optimal lineup, and 6,900 is not a bad price for it. So I think he's a solid cash play to floor. Torres, going to put a fade on here. He is the Trackhouse car that is not in the playoffs. Okay, sorry about that again for the early part. Um, so I think he's just going to fall down. Custer, I think both these two are starting way too far forward. They didn't like, I mean, they weren't in the num seven in my opinion. And well, I mean, I'm when I say bottom seven, I'm throwing out Cody Ware, Jared Frost, Tim Hill, like the total covers. I'm talking about I picked the top seven and the bottom seven of who I feel are competitive drivers, um, that are like above average. So, and I think these two are just kind of neutral on that one. Eric Jones has always been really good at tire wear tracks. He was kind of neutral here, but he's almost close to being in the green. And I think he can finish where he starts, like probably anywhere from 20th to 15th. So at 7K, I think that he's starting a little bit too far forward for most people to play him in cash, but I think he's the perfect third person for the 100K lineup. Shane Van Gisbergen, again, he finished 20th year in Darlington. He wasn't bad. He hasn't had some bad finishes. And at 6,800, I think his price is a little bit too much for a driver that's going to get no place differential and just relying on finishing position. So if he finishes 20th, let's look at my bonus sheet here. He gets 23 points. So if I manually change this to 23, that still puts him at